Anihera Black says she has passed on to police the names of 4 people she believes may have been involved in or have knowledge of what she's calling a paedophile sex ring involving her former husband. Te Awanui Black died in 2016, aged 48. He was highly regarded in both the Bay of Plenty community and in the Māori community nationwide. And some former friends and associates have strongly rejected the accusations against him. Those accusations were made in a Facebook video 2 weekends ago. Anihera Black strongly stands by them, saying the 3 victims she knows of were children when the abuse occurred, one of them as young as 7, and that those asking for them to prove it need to understand they have the right to be safe from re-victimisation. But Awanui Black is not here to defend himself, and his friends say that makes it profoundly unfair to publicly level such accusations against him. I asked Anihera Black when she first became aware of them.
It's sort of not something that just dawns on you. A lot of it is discovered over time, or you know, your intuition picks up on things, but you don't really want to listen to your intuition sometimes. So I can't pinpoint a particular time, but in terms of disclosures to me about the paedophilia, that's something that can be easily recorded as to when that happened.
How many people have disclosed their first-hand experience of being the victims of Awanui?
3 at the moment. There are other people who've come forward through other mutual friends or other people who speak for them.
And can you tell me about the disclosures of those 3? How did they take place?
Over a long process, really. It's not something that just happens. It's a process of being able to feel safe and being able to feel that you're going to be believed. Some of it's through their behaviour, and then finally not being able to contain the secret and talking about what happened in their lives.
Talking about what happened? So did they talk directly to you about what happened?
Yes, they've talked about the symptoms of the abuse and how that has affected them, and also about the abuse itself. Not in detail, just really that it happened.
And the 3 people who've disclosed have all told you personally that it happened?
They have talked to me about that. It's something that's taken a while to work through and come to that point.
And what point are you at now? Forgive me, but in terms of the direct accusations against Awanui, and Miriama Kamoa asked you a similar question on Marae, and you said they're not accusations, they're fact. So in terms of your belief in the fact of these accusations, what are they? What do you think Awanui did?
He sexually abused children and destroyed their futures, as was his future destroyed by his abuser.
Was Awanui himself the victim of abuse? Was that something he experienced during his childhood?
It was, and he actually never disclosed it to me himself, even though when I worked it out, he wouldn't admit to it. It wasn't until the day we buried him that his childhood friends had disclosed that to me, that he had confided in them. His father was also convicted for paedophilia and spent time in prison. So it's a cycle of destruction, and something that we all need to take note of and work towards eliminating.
Is that what you are hoping for as a result of your disclosure, of their disclosures, that we can collectively work to acknowledge and confront and deal with?
Definitely. It's providing a space for all survivors, because I don't like the word victim. It just further victimises them. So they're really survivors. The victims are the ones who have taken their own lives because of what happened to them. They're the victims. But it's really about giving them a space to be able to speak their truth and be free and heal. And that's my wish for all survivors of sexual abuse.
You said in your first Facebook posting that raised all of this. You said, "We give you permission to speak your truth."
Mm.
A lot
of the. Oh, sorry, carry on.
No, you speak.
You know, a lot of the time, people just need to hear that. They need to hear that they do have permission from somebody, or they can give themselves permission to do the basic of things. You know, even give yourself permission to cry. Give yourself permission to have a good time if you go out. You know, we've just been so conditioned by other people and society that we feel powerless, and that's how I feel survivors of sexual abuse, that's their reality. So if we can allow them a space to move into in the most supported way we can, then that allows them to speak their truth.
Did you ever discuss any of this with Awanui when he was still alive?
Yes, when he first told me that he was viewing preteen porn, I told him that that was not who I was, and I was disgusted by that, and he knew that I wouldn't let that sit with me.
Sorry, forgive me, Anihera, I missed that. What porn did he tell you about?
He had disclosed to me that he had been viewing preteen porn, so young girls, and of course that was not in my realm of. I just couldn't believe it. It was at a point in our marriage where he had also made many disclosures about infidelity. So he was trying to be as honest as he could in terms of trying to win me back. But, the person I thought he wasn't who he really was.
And I guess there's an aside there, isn't there? Because lots of people are telling us who they think Awanui was. So we have Willie Te Aho on Marae saying, you know, that he was a fantastic man and that he absolutely does not believe the accusations you are making. We have Parenga Mihi Gardner, who is saying the same thing. She just says, full stop, it is not true. And I guess what they're taking is his reputation, and they're placing his reputation before your accusations. You don't say they're accusations, you say they're fact. But what would you say back to them?
They only see one side of the man. They're talking about what he did, not who he was. They don't know what goes on behind closed doors, and I'm sure they have their own stories about what goes on behind their closed doors. So I feel aroha for them, because I know that, you know, we all would like to believe that Awa was the man he projected himself to be, but his behaviour showed that he had a whole lot of other things going on as well as that. So I'm not taking away from the fact that he did great things. I'm just saying, yes, he did great things, but he caused great pain at the same time.
Because I guess the point that Willie Te Aho is making most explicitly is he isn't here now to reply. He isn't here now to defend himself. Had these accusations have been made against him whilst he was alive, there could have been a rigorous police investigation. He could have been spoken to by the police. This could have been tested in court. He could have either admitted it all and sought help and been dealt with accordingly, or denied it all and received some form of defence. In his absence, none of those things are happening.
Well, disclosures were made after he died, so I don't know what you can do with that. It is what it is.
Ngāi Te Rangi have put up reward money. Have they had any response to that?
I'm not sure what their response has been, but I don't know that their reward money is an incentive for survivors to come forward. It may, in fact, be a disincentive.
As an aside, that you've talked about a sex ring or sex rings. Do you know the other adults who were involved in those?
I know of a few.
And you know names?
I've given a couple of names to the police already.
You have given names to the police?
Mm-hmm.
And do you believe that the police are proceeding with some form of investigation?
I'm not sure. I don't know what their process is. But I've just given names as names of interest, and if other people were to do the same thing, then I'm sure that builds a stronger case for investigation.
So I just want to clarify this. You have passed names on. You absolutely have given the police names.
Yes.
How many?
Of people of interest, 3. Or actually 4.
4 names. And do you feel like you're being taken seriously by the police?
Yes, I do. I think that they see that I'm genuine in my intent. It's not malicious, it's not vindictive. It is really just to get the truth out there and speak my truth and provide some support for those who are survivors of these people.
Graham Cameron writes a thing in the spin-off saying, we have to believe people. We have to now start confronting the secrets in our communities. We have to now start looking after our children. What sort of response are you getting from people? How are people responding to you?
Look, in general, there's just been an overwhelming outpouring of love and gratitude. Like I said, people are giving me their accounts of their own personal stories. They're talking about opening up to their own family members about things that have happened in their past. They're talking about speaking with their children and their children disclosing things to them. It is pretty incredible the amount of freedom people have found through my post in terms of being able to say their own truth. In terms of negative comments, well, you're always going to have that, and those are the people who just really are projecting their own fears and insecurities and are not yet ready to understand.
There's such a big narrative here, isn't there? There is such a big narrative about the vulnerability, the helplessness of the victims of child sexual abuse. I mean, they are the weakest, least articulate people there are. And there is a sense from the responses you are describing that some people feel freed to speak and feel free to say, that was me. But that could also be a separate narrative from the one about Awanui, because people are saying, where is the proof? And so the two things are conflated, but in the particular case of Awanui, you absolutely believe and have no doubt that the accusations you are making against him are true.
Absolutely. Irrefutably believe in those that have disclosed to me about them, about Awanui.
Anihera Black talking to us earlier this afternoon.